Pathos was the same as Jupiter in layout, except the board was dark blue rather than green. The first thing I noticed is that all the usual level icons have been replaced by a blue rock and some kind of orange honeycomb shape. There was one icon that had part of the jungle icon shape, but I didn't pay much thought about it. I think on the other side of the board to see the new monsters, instead of Hedorah, it was Violent. But that couldn't be right. Godzilla vs. Violent didn't come out until 1989, and this game was made in 1988. Perhaps Toho put Violent in the game to build excitement for the movie next year, but changed their minds. I tried to rationalize the game's abnormalities in any way I could, but this would be proven to be futile. Pathos' map song was the first new song I heard in the game. Like most of the new songs, it was hard to describe, but I'll try. It started out small and suspenseful, much slower than any song in the game, but every 12 seconds or so, there would be a loud clashing sound, and the tempos changed. It was like the composer randomly played parts from 5 different songs with the same instruments. I moved Godzilla over to one of the many blue rocks icon that had replaced the jungle icon, and started the level. The level resembles a blue mountain range with the blood red planet in the sky, but there was something odd about the mountains. They had a shredded paper look to them. I thought at first maybe the glitch had affected it, but it looked far too intentional. I quickly noticed something else about the new level. There were no enemies, like at all. Not even any obstacles. I also mentioned that this was where the point meters started to become glitched beyond comprehension. But it didn't bother me much. I never keep up with the game's points. So without having to focus on anything, I listened to the music while walking through the level unopposed. The music had a sorrowful feel to it. It would have been rather pleasant, had I heard it from a normal game. The level went on for 3 scenes, but with no obstacles around, I finished it very quickly. I tried another level of the same type to see if any enemies appeared, but there were none. There was little else to be seen in the Blue Mountains, so I tried another level type. I started one of the orange levels, and my eyes were assaulted with a grotesque background of tumorous orange eyes. The sky was the same as the ground, so I assumed the game was indicated that this level takes place in a cave. The only enemies here were Mantico spawns, but as you can see, the little bastards were everywhere. The music certainly didn't help. With a mixture of screeching sounds and loud drum beats, that sounded like a monster's theme in a horror film. After completing it, I tried to avoid playing through any more of these levels whenever I could. The map was short, so it was only a few minutes before I were heading towards a rematch with Godzilla and Megora, but this time, their sprites and attack patterns were vastly different. I fought Megora first, but Megora's placement was the flying machine with a slightly resembled to a Pasagola alien. It was a bit like fighting Mothra, only it moved with a lot more grace. It attacked by spinning its front tentacles like a corkscrew, and it had like an eye beam, except now it fired from the drill. This lanky apparition had replaced Godzilla, and the new beast was more of a challenge. It would run and jump at a fast pace, consistently swinging its arms around, making it hard to get close. Of course, it tried to pin me in the corner, with much more annoying resolve as ever. I defeated it using a combination of tail whips and heat beam spamming. I defeated them and was going to fight Titanosaurus. But when I started the fight with Titanosaurus was nowhere to be seen, and the game simply went back to the map with the Titanosaurus piece now missing. There was no one left to fight now but Violent, so I eagerly started the battle. I was quite surprised that Violent started the fight in her rose form. She was immobile and used tentacles to keep me away from the main body, which took most damage. As expected, she turned to her final form after taking enough damage. The sprite looked pretty damn good for an 8-bit. The battle technique was the same, except now Violent can move, albeit slower than any other monster. Being hit by the tentacle did more damage now, and Violent could do an acid spit. Not much more difficult to beat than Titanosaurus. It only took 2 rounds, but when Violent was gone, the music had stopped, and there was a new icon replacing the bass. This icon wasn't there before I beat Violent. It resembles a red tribal mask, and I had a feeling of dread when I saw it. But since it replaced the bass, it was the only way to exit Pathos. I moved Godzilla to the square, and I started the level. It was a hellish looking place with no sky and the flickering fire in the background. The fire looked far more advanced than anything I've seen on an NES. There was music in the form of slow, steady drum sounds resembling a heartbeat. All the text on the top of the screen and the life bar were gone. In their place was a single bit of text in the middle of the screen that said, "Run." My feeling of dread had intensified. I cautiously walked through the level, but like the Blue Mountain, there were no enemies. I paced around for a minute before thinking, run for what? The first time it hit me, I didn't even see it. I heard a noise outside my room and turned back to see if something fell. And when I looked back, Godzilla was dying. I figured it must have been a glitch, but I wasn't going to play through the game without Godzilla, so I restarted the game and went to the password screen. Have I ever mentioned how creepy the password screen music is? If you play the game, you know what I mean. It doesn't all fit in the mood of the game. It's more like something from a horror game. Maybe they made it like that so kids wouldn't cheat. But it's odd. I was quite annoyed at this point because I thought I was going to have to fight all the monsters again, but that didn't happen. The game started me off right where I was before I started the red face level. So I tried again, making sure to pay attention this time. That's when I heard a low bellowing sound, and then I saw it. This thing. Do you know that feeling your body has when you feel like you're in extreme danger? You start to recoil and tense up and adrenaline flows through your veins, and your nerves start to feel very cold? That's the feeling I had when I took this screen cap. Now, I haven't seen all the Godzilla movies, but I'm pretty damn sure this was never in any of them. It had to be something that the creator made up. But what kind of sick fuck would put this in a children's game? By sheer dumb luck or perhaps the adrenaline boost, I managed to run fast enough to get away from it. It ran very fast, so much so that if you saw it, you were almost certainly gonna die. And when I say die, I mean your monster gets killed instantly if the creature touches them. Once I had gone back to the map, I was so afraid that I was extremely tempted to just shut the game off and try to pretend that never happened. I couldn't believe what I just seen. It couldn't have been real. And even if I wanted to continue, I still had to get Mothra through the chase level. But as I stayed inactive on the map screen for a few minutes, my fear was replaced by burning curiosity. What the hell had just happened? What was the rest of the game like? I only had to beat this level with Mothra, and then I was on to the next world. But when I moved Mothra to the red face, the game registered it as me beating it. It was quite relieved. I tried to prepare myself for the next world. Trance.